So we should all have these. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make some simple stamp brushes, and then we're going to move eventually into much more complex brushes. So this is really simple, this part. So we're going to go, I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool, and again, if you notice, I picked an image on white. Makes it a lot easier. And I'm going to make a little selection here. I don't want to get that shadow, so I'm going to try and come up right there. That's probably okay. Okay, so now I've got this selection, correct? It's out here. And I'm going to go up here to Edit, Define Brush Preset. And I'm going to go Tombstone 1. I'm going to say OK. And if you notice, my brush has changed to that silhouette. Do you see it? So now I'm going to go up here to where my brushes are here. And here it is right here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to this little gear thing. I'm going to go New Brush Group. And I'm going to go, how do you spell Halloween? H-A-L-L? I never can remember that for some reason. And I can never remember how to spell marshmallows either. All right, so I want to put this in this folder, okay? So now I've got a Halloween folder, okay? And then just for the sake of today, I'm going to move this up. I always put these in the order that I want them. So today it'll be here. Normally this is too specialized and I wouldn't have it there. But since I'm using this right now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go boom, get rid of all those. Okay, and get rid of this general brushes for now. So here it is, Halloween. That's my new brush group. Now, I'm going to go over here. I can close this one. I'm going to go to here and get me another one. So I just made a selection. I'm not making it right up on it or anything because it's on white, so it's actually pretty simple. Edit, Define Brush Preset, Tombstone 2. And we'll go OK. Now we got that one. I'm going to go back to my brushes again. Make sure this goes in my Halloween folder. And get rid of this one. Then I'm going to go same thing here. Edit, Define Brush Preset, Tombstone 3. And now let's go to this one. And I'm just going to go select all. I'm going to go Control All. And I'm going to go Edit, Define Brush Preset, Tree 1. Oops. I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go here. Oops. Here. Do the same thing. Select all. Edit. Define Brush Preset, Tree 2. Then we'll go back here, and I'm going to put these 3 into my Halloween folder. Okay. And get rid of this. So now we're going to do a couple things here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab, let's go to our brush. I'm going to go to black. And I'm going to go Halloween. Let's just go Tombstone 1. Now, here's the thing with this. So this is going to follow all my brush stuff. I'm going to go on a new layer. Tombstone 1. I'm just going to put T1. That'll work. And I'm going to go back to my brushes. I don't know why that's doing that. And when you stamp these things, so I'm just going to stamp it. And you can see it's a little transparent, so I'll hit it a couple of times. And I'm going to get that. Okay, now there's some other ways I can go around that. I'm going to take this, I'm going to tilt it a little bit. That's a little dark, but that's okay. Then I'm going to go up here to my brush. I'm going to grab another one. Let's grab Tombstone 2. Well, maybe I'll put this one a little closer. Now, I could flash behind that, let's go. See, that's getting really dark, okay? Now what I could probably do is go, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so I use my object selection tool, and I could, if I wanted to, I could put this, so what I got now is just an empty empty layer with a selection on it. If I go here and I fill this with white, you can see now I can see some of the detail on that tombstone. Okay, that's basically, it's called flashing. They do it a lot with, like, in the real world with t-shirts and things like that. It's got a little bit of a white outline, which I don't like, but I could get rid of that too. I could just come in here and probably just take my eraser, because I don't think I have to be all that accurate with this. There. You know, and I could come up here and do the same thing. So I'm going to weld these two together. I'm going to select, actually this is on a different layer, which I don't like. But for the point of this, just to show this, you got a flyout menu right here on all your windows that will have different things you can do here. And one you can do here is go merge layers. And it's going to merge the ones I had selected, okay? Because I just want these on their own layer. Because now I can take this one and put it on its own layer. Because I want all these to be a little bit wonky. And we're going to do a couple other things with this in a minute. Hang on. So let's just put this one in the foreground. I could even probably put that off camera a little bit, out of frame a little bit maybe. Yeah. Let's see. I'll play with it. Let's do one more. Or two more, actually. Let's go back to our brushes. And I think we used, what, 2? We'll do 3. Because this one's a different silhouette. I'll put this one further back, maybe. And get a little bit of overlap. I'm going to put a new layer. Oops. And again, I could flash it if I want to. I'm not going to worry about it. I like that. So good enough for now. And then I'm going to come in here and put a bigger idea here. I'm going to go to my brushes. And I'm going to go to tree 1. And I'm not going to use this whole tree, I don't think. Let's go to tree 2 and see what that looks like. Yeah, I like this one better. So I want to put this one right in the foreground, get that little overhanging tree thing. There. I could do the same thing. I could use the other tree. Let's try the other tree, just to mix it up. I want to make this a lot bigger, because I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use this overhanging branch here. Oops, I got to put another layer. That's good. Okay, so what happens with, okay, so now another thing I'm going to do down here is I'm going to take a rough brush, if I can, or a rough eraser if I can find one. There's a bunch of ways we can do this, and we'll learn other ways to do this at some point. Actually, we could do it with this too, probably. Let's try our smudge here. So I'm going to take this smudge and go to my tombstones. So let's go to this one. I'm going to come down here with my, oops, that's too much. So I got to go smaller. And I'm just going to kind of smudge up this ground plane a little bit, pull this. So it feels like it's going into grass, obviously. Does that make sense? Because they're not going to die in here hard like that. They're going to die in here much more, you know, the grass covering and stuff like that. Hang on. So let's go to this one. So I'm basically just smudging out that bottom a little bit so I get a little bit of the bottom rolling into it, revealing into it. And that's a little better. And then what I could do, there's a couple things I can do based on things we've already done. I'm going to make another layer here. Is all that making sense so far? It's pretty simple, right? And I'm going to go to my gradient, color to transparent. And I'm going to pick a color. So let's just pick Let's try a blue. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's try it. That's not too bad, actually. That's a little more dramatic. So we'll probably go for the dramatic for the that's kind of cool. I like the red. So I'm going to do that, and then down here on the ground plane, I think I can probably warm that up a little. I'm going to change this color. So let's go to this warm again. Ooh, that's kind of cool. But I don't want it that warm. So I'm going to come in here to my Hue Saturation. I'm going to see if I can scroll through here. Actually, right there's a little better. I'm going to desaturate it a little bit. Another thing I could do, basically I'm just using overlays now. I'm going to come in here and go, let's see if I can just do this right over the whole thing. I'm not sure if I can. Another layer. I'm going to go to a really hot warm here. I don't know if I, yeah, let's just fill this and see what we get. So I'm going to pull out here so I can see this a little better. Yeah, that's starting to light up that window a little bit. Back up here. That's starting to light it up a little. And maybe over here I could do, these two windows would probably be on the same floor, or they are on the same floor. So maybe I could light these up a little. Oops. And again, I'm going to find something that works here. Now, there's one other thing I would do to this probably. Like what I like to do in here is I like to do put hotspots. Because when you're doing a window, oh, I don't want that. Hang on. Can I put my favorites in here? Let's try this one. So I'm going to try and just get a ratty brush here. Yeah, that'll work. I will put little hot spots in here. Let me smudge this out a little bit. It's too uniform. And the reason I do that, they need to get more intense. The reason I'll put hot spots in a window is because when you're looking at a window, what you're seeing is the window and whatever the ambient light is in that room. In this room, it's these overhead lights, okay? So that window out there, if it was nighttime right now, would be a fairly even light in here because that's basically the light source, right? Now, but you have lights that are closer, okay? So like in a room like that, or in a house, or even in an office building, like in an office building is a good example. If you ever look at an office building, you see the bank of windows lit up, right? And then you'll see like somebody on their desk who's sitting next to the window has a lamp. And boom, you got a hot spot right there. So now you got the ambient light coming through the window, but then you got a hot spot right here. Or they have this kind of lighting, but over here they've got a little food section and there's some canned lighting up there. So it's going to intensify the lighting in certain places. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is the lighting varies in the window. Does that make sense? Unless it's nothing but a very even ambient light. That's the mistake people usually make when they're doing this kind of stuff. So they light up all the windows the same color, all the windows the same value. That's not what it looks like, okay? Even in a house, if you guys ever driven by a house, and when you're a little bit distant from the house, you get this warm, sort of even light, right? When you get a little close to it, all of a sudden you notice there's a blue light in there coming from the TV, and it's flickering because there's images. And then it goes warmer and darker, and it like flickers, right? Because the TV's on, right? And again, they might have something close to the window. So you're going to get these variations of light. Does that make sense? It's just something that's important if you're rendering this kind of thing. Does that make sense? All right, so let's take those images and start making stamp brushes and start building a scene out of them, okay?